Well, Rockford Mayor Tom McNamara is honored by hundreds Wednesday evening at one of his final public events in office. Community members gather to mark McNamara's nearly decade-long run leading Rockford. Miriam Niesmeyer takes us inside the farewell celebration. And Miriam, people you spoke with are reflecting on the relationships that formed along the way.
Daniel, I talked with Mayor McNamara and the people working alongside him. They shared stories, gratitude, and some became emotional as they looked back on 9 years and what Rockford carries forward. Hundreds packed IBEW Hall Wednesday night to thank Rockford Mayor Tom McNamara during his final days in office.
When you think about all the wonderful things of Rockford, it's all the people that come together and make every single thing happen.
McNamara says there's more work to reduce domestic violence, crime, and school absenteeism.
I think most of the things that negatively impact our community stem from childhood trauma. And if I could ever have done something more, that was where I would focus.
Rockford Promise Executive Director Kayleen Groh reflects on McNamara's legacy and points to his investment in students.
Tom has called Rockford Promise a love letter to the community. Thank you for believing that Rockford's young people are worth it, that they're worth investing in. Thank you for believing that education can change not only individual lives, but the trajectory of an entire community.
All donations at McNamara's farewell celebration will benefit Rockford Promise and the Family Peace Center.
His legacy will be the centering of survivors in this community. We are forever changed because Tom McNamara was our mayor.
Family Peace Center Executive Director Jennifer Cachapalia credits McNamara for confronting domestic violence.
And he has worked tirelessly to reach out to people who could make changes, who could support those survivors, and he has never gotten tired of it.
McNamara says Rockford's future depends on people getting involved in the community.
Come out to a city council meeting, be engaged, be part of it, because when we're all rowing in the same direction and we are part of it, we can do some pretty amazing things.
McNamara leaves office at the end of August, then will take over as CEO of the Illinois Municipal League.
Now, Alderwoman Janessa Neal is already sworn in as acting mayor and will assume responsibilities this Monday. Rockford voters will choose the city's next mayor during a special election next April.